Hi,
Hi, Belinda. How are you?
morning.
Hope you had a good rest.
Oh yeah, did you?
Kind of. I went to sleep at like 2:30, 3.
Oh my goodness, you are kidding.
That's
Well,
okay. I had a 7 a.m. meeting.
oh my,
Just meeting some people. Like I meet people internationally. So there was a guy in UK I'm doing some business with. So sorry about that.
you have to
Um,
take care of your body though. You might have to take a rest in the afternoon.
I may.
You should.
So what I wanted to do today is like see if I am addressing your question. So your question is, how do I take those videos, and then how do I make a virtual choir? Correct?
Hmm. Oh, before we do that, I just want to ask you that you were asking me to send you the music, and then you can add the click on it. Actually, I can do that. I can add the click onto it.
But how? How
Well,
do you adjust for the rallentando and the different time, like if they speed up or slow down? How do you adjust for that?
well, for this song, everything will be the same. There's no Rolando, no sudden, change, no
Okay.
nothing.
Well,
So it's
I
just
okay.
very,
Well, what I
very
might recommend though is send it to me first, because what I've found is it seems like there's no change, but there is like there's weird pauses. Like sometimes they pause a little bit longer, and then everything gets screwed up afterwards, if that makes sense.
okay.
And I figured out a way that I can adjust for that.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah. So
I'll make it
what the
very
problem isn't like speeding up or slowing down. They're very consistent, but sometimes when the thing ends, right? Instead of doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the four is a little bit long, and then everything else is all going to be screwed up. So if you can send it to me, I can double check that, make sure.
Yeah.
It can save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle headache. It took me a long time to figure out how to do a proper click track. Like the click track that I create um, is like is accurate to the millisecond because I can find out that exact point of like where the wave increases, and then I go bang, that is beat number one, beat number two. I can define it in the conductor track to go, that's beat number one, that's beat number two. Like I can literally pinpoint that exact moment, which is more than a lot of people can do with typical, like with a typical like click track. Is just you have a
Device.
time.
You have a device to check it, right? So you can
I,
see the
I'm
exact.
using Pro Tools, and Pro Tools can create a conductor track, and you can literally define beat 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go mark this point, that's beat one. Mark this point, beat two. So I can be as accurate as I want, and I can let it roll until it starts falling off. And when it falls off, I go, nope, this is beat one again. Uh, and so you'll find that most click tracks they fall off on the music. Mine will they will never do that because it's going to be accurate to the millisecond.
Well, in that case, I'll send it to you then. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so you want to know how to do this? Oh boy. So the thing I want to give you just a heads up on is um, this is a skill that I've been developing for years, right? So this is something I've been doing for several years. So don't worry too much if you don't get everything that I'm explaining today. My goal is I want to record this session actually so that I can give it back to you later so that you can play. So don't worry about writing anything down. But if you are confused, please ask some questions because it's not just you that I think this will be beneficial for. I think that there are lots of choirs, and this is the thing I want to do in the future is my vision for what we're doing in CCOS is not just to serve, like to make CCOS great. It's really to help any choir who wants to do a virtual choir. Because I know that George Mock, his choir, he wants to do the same thing. Maggie in Ottawa, they want to do the same thing. I think it would be beneficial for everyone. So don't worry too much if you don't get everything. But if you're confused, please ask questions because other people will ask the same stuff as well. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna start by sharing my screen. Is that all right? Can you see my, if I hit this button, can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. All right, so what I have here in the middle is the Mandarin Chorale. So this is step one. Step one is you got to take all the files and you have to save them somewhere on your computer. And I found that the thing that is most helpful is you need to know who is the alto, who's the bass, who is the tenor, and who's the soprano. My understanding is in the Mandarin chorale that videos that you send me, there's no tenor, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Doesn't matter, right? But keep it organized. I don't even need to know the name. I just wrote A1, A2, A3, A4, just to keep it simple. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So each person is going to be their own track. So the program that I use, and you can use a different program if you want, is Adobe Premiere Pro. And oops, yeah. The reason I use Adobe Premiere Pro is because I'm used to it. It's a program that I like. There are other programs out there that do the same thing. But I'm going to show you how to do this through Premiere Pro. You can get Premiere, I think it's like 70, 80, maybe like $100 a month subscription. It's not a cheap software, but it's valuable because it allows you to do a lot of stuff. But I do think about it. If you're going to start investing in doing virtual choirs, it's worthwhile. It's worth the money, because I've looked at other solutions, and like the alternative is you spend hundreds of dollars and you try this thing and you find, oh, it doesn't really work for me. No, like Premiere Pro, try it for a few months. It doesn't work. You only spent like $100, $200. No big deal. Oh, that's my recommendation to you. And so when you go into Adobe Premiere Pro, and you're going to have to understand, like, my computer's going to run really slow, just because like I'm doing Zoom at the same time. That's okay. What I typically do is I just create a brand new project. So I'm starting from scratch. I got nothing, right? Like, I'm assuming that maybe like you don't have anything, you don't have any previous virtual choirs. I'm going to go into the Mandarin Chorale directory, select that as the location. This is just a folder that I'm going to save all my files. Just why not put it all together, right? The Adobe Premiere files, everything that I render, everything I export is all going to be in the same folder, just to make it easy. And I'm going to call this What a Friend, and I'm going to call it Mandarin Chorale. Just whatever, like whatever name you want. Does that kind of make sense so far? Okay. So what I'm doing is new project, just in the same directory, in the same folder. Okay. Now, it's going to go and create some files. And so if I go back to my directory, you will see, oh, look, there's a file here. It's called What a Friend Mandarin Chorale. It's a Premiere project file, which is just like a video editing file. Okay, so it's all in the same directory. And it's going to load something with a bunch of windows. And that may be confusing to you. That's okay. We're going to do this step by step. So the first part I usually do is, you see on Adobe Premiere is set up so that they have what's called like a bunch of tabs or workspaces at the top. And of these workspaces, I think the one that I usually start with is called editing. So editing is like, you cut the video, you move things around. That's what like video editing is. Just, that's all it is. It's just shifting stuff. If you think about what video is, it's just, that's exactly what it is. So, and I'm going to hit this button called import. So it says import media to start. So let me show you what I did again. There's a project window. It's sometimes in the corner. And inside project, you can see it's all empty. There's nothing. There's no files inside here. It's like, oh, I've got no files. And so it'll have this text that says import media to start. And so I have to import some files. What files I'm going to import? Of course, I'm going to import the videos that everybody uploaded, right, from the Mandarin Chorale. So I'm going to do this with Mandarin Chorale because I feel like this will be most relevant for any choir. So I usually just go Control A, and then I just deselect. So I Control click on the project, because I don't want to import the project, obviously. I'm already in the project. And I just say, yeah, take everybody. Control A is, by the way, that's select all. Like Control A and select all is the same thing. And then I go open. And then it'll say like, okay, I'm taking my time. I'm going to import these files. What it means by import is two things. One is it's going to put the project or the file into your directory. And then 2 is going to create what's called a peak file. What is a peak file? All you need to know about peak files is it's just trying to figure out where the maximum volume is. Because you know how like some people sing and it's really soft the whole time, and then some people sing and it's like super loud? Well, the peak file just determines like how loud it should be. What's the maximum volume? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So if you look at this video, okay, what you'll see is I've got, and usually I sort by name so that I have all my altos. You see A, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have my 2 basses. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sopranos. Do you see like all the files there?
Yes.
So sometimes on the right-hand side, you'll see like a frame rate. Frame rate just means like how many pictures does it show per second. And so in this case, you can see that the majority of these, and this is typical of phones, is 29.97. Whoa, what a complicated number. Why not just 30? This is kind of like a legacy thing. This is how phones work. They run on this particular type of clock. What you need to know is that I think if you pick whichever frame rate is the most common, and the way that you create a new, like we call it a timeline. So it's just a line that contains all of the different tracks. That's where I'm going to put them, as you just drag and drop. So I'm going to take one of these files, the 29.97 frame video files, and it says, you know how it says timeline here, and it says drop the media here to create a sequence. So I'm going to take my media and I'm going to drop it in this corner. Does that kind of make sense? So do you see how it created something new here called S1, soprano 1. Does that make sense? So this is a video that is the exact dimensions and time as this person's video. Does that make sense? What's her name, by the way?
I don't quite remember their names.
Okay, that's okay. It doesn't matter. I'll call her Soprano 1. Soprano 1's, it's exactly aligned to that. But I don't want this to be called Soprano 1, right? Like this name is important to rename because that's the name of your file that you're going to export in the end. So I don't want it to be called Soprano 1. I'll call it What a Friend, friend, and I'll go hyphen Mandarin Chorale. Boom. Do you see how the project, this timeline name changed over here? It says, What a Friend, Mandarin Chorale. That makes sense? So the reason I did that is because I just want it to be easy to find. I don't want to get lost with all the S1s. I didn't have to, but it makes my life a lot easier. And this is the key, is do small things that make your life easier. Otherwise, you'll get confused, is what my experience has been. So it says sequence is 480 by 848. It is a 29.97. Okay, so great. So what I'm going to do is, the problem is that this picture right now is not the size of the end video that I want to upload to YouTube. Because if you think about it, like YouTube videos are mostly like wide, like you see our camera right now. You know how it's like widescreen? So normally that's how a video is. It's like 16 by 9. That's what your TV, it will be the same dimensions as your TV. Does that kind of make sense? So I want to take her video and I want to make it bigger. I want to make the video space bigger so I can fit many singers in the same space. Otherwise, if I use her video dimension, I can only fit one singer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click. So you right click with your mouse, and then it'll be a bunch of options. Wow, so confusing. You don't need to worry about those. There's only one that you need to pick, and it's called Sequence Settings. What does sequence settings mean? Well, this timeline that you see is what Adobe Premiere calls a sequence. And setting the sequence means I can set things like how fast is the video, how many frames is in the video, what's the dimensions of the video. I can set that there. So I go into Sequence Settings. And then again, this big dialogue, right, that comes out. Oh, really confusing. It's not really. The only thing you need to worry about is the video, the frame size, how big is that picture? And what I want is, I want it to be the size of a large video. So 1920 by 1080. Do you know how like sometimes you see a TV and they'll say like, oh, this TV is high definition. It is 1080p. What that means is it's 1080 pixels on the vertical, and then it's 1920 pixels on the horizontal. And so just remember 1920 by 1080. So the oh no, wait, let me think. Yeah, it's 1920 horizontal and 1080 vertical. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I go okay, and goes changes to this cannot be undone. That's okay. There's nothing to undo. So I just go. So what you'll need to do is like they're saying you're making a change to your file, and it's going to change things, and you won't be able to like unchange it. And I'm okay with that. So you press OK. And what that does is, do you see Soprano 1 now has a black border on either side? Maybe we can move my camera a little bit.
I can see that.
So you can see like there's a big black thing around her. Awesome. Now it's very easy to include many singers. So really what I typically do is I will take like all the sopranos and I will put them all on different video tracks. So soprano 1 is on this track. So I call it like, it says V1A1. So that's like video 1, audio 1. And what I typically do, I'll show you what I do with the timeline. So timeline, I can zoom in and out just like a video. So you go minus or plus. Minus zooms out, plus zooms in. Does that make sense? This is a very powerful tool. So you need to know how to use the minus and plus in order to zoom out and zoom in. Because when you do that, everything becomes easy. Because what is like sound? Sound is just like, if I zoom in, I can see like a fraction of a second. I can see that exact wave when it like increases just slightly. Does that kind of make sense? So essentially, what I like to do is I like to take my soprano video and I like to move it, like say somewhere in the middle here. And the reason is because this video is going to need to shift left or shift right depending on how it's aligned. Everybody records the video slightly differently. Does that make sense? It's like some people record right when they're singing. Some people record like a few seconds and then they turn on the music. And so you're going to need to shift things a little bit. And so once I put it in the middle, then it's easy for me to position the rest of the videos. So I'm going to put soprano 2. You can see when I drag soprano 2, I'm going to just drag it to wherever I put the soprano 1 video. Good. Do you see what I did? I just took soprano 2 and I just dragged it. Okay. And I'm going to take soprano 3. I'm going to do the same thing. Soprano 3, soprano 4, soprano 5. And I don't need to create new tracks. I just need to just keep dragging into the empty space. So they see like soprano 5, right? You see what I'm doing? I'm just like adding more and more of these and I'm lining them all up. You see how there's this magnet tool. It's called Snap in Timeline. And all that does is just lines them all up on one side so they're all together. And that's what I want, is I want them to be together so that they're not that far off and I don't have to shift things too much. So I'm lining them all up. So soprano 6. And then, well, now that I finished my soprano, let's do altos. So I'll take alto 1, move that over here. Uh-oh. Now I've run into a problem. What's the problem? I've run out of space, right? Like, so I have no space left to drag stuff, no empty spaces at the top. So what can I do? So this is how we learn how to use the Adobe scroll bars. Now, Adobe scroll bars are annoying. They don't work like a regular scroll bar. They are a scale and scroll combination, which is really confusing. But I'll explain it in a way that I think is going to be as simple as possible for you. Actually, is there a way I can make it bigger in assembly? Let me just see. I want to see if I can make it easier for you. Yes. So what I can do, there you go. So I can create, okay, let me go back. Let me go back. Okay, I'm sorry for, I'm moving really fast because I'm trying to think of how I can make this even easier
Okay.
for you. So first step is you see in the top, there's a bunch of tabs. I
Yeah.
was in the editing tab.
Yes.
Now, instead of editing, I switched over to the assembly tab. And this is just like a different workspace. This is a different way of working. Assembly is like I'm assembling all of the different videos. And so it gives you a nice big window for the project file. Awesome. And it has a nice big window for the timeline. And now I got lots of space. I'm still going to run into the same issue, but this will be easier to explain because it won't be as small. So I'm going to use this one for now. So I said Alto 1. Okay. So now I can go Alto 2 because I got more space. You can see like Alto 2, line it all up. And you see I'm moving into this empty space at the top here. Does that make sense? I'm not moving into the timeline. Otherwise, I'm going to overwrite somebody's video, and I don't want to do that. Alto 3. So I'm going to keep adding Alto 4. You know, you can see like everybody's video is slightly different length. Do you see that, like how they're longer and some are shorter? So if you're going to line them all up, you're going to have to move them a little bit, right? And then we have a couple bases. So at base 1, okay, now I've run out of space. What do I do?
Go to assembly.
So now I will take this circle. Do you see the circle on the right-hand side? It's like kind of the scroll bar. So I can scroll, I can drag this bar up and down, give myself more room. Does that make sense? Like where the circle is, this bar is like a scroll bar. Does that kind of make sense?
All right. So, but after you did the assembly, then you can move it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all it is just saying like, I need more space in my video timeline.
Okay.
Scroll up, scroll down. And that's just like a scrolling in a document, right? So just the same way you use a scroll bar. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes. But before you didn't use it because you didn't use the assembly to make.
Yeah, like I used assembly because it's bigger and it's easier for you to see. But it turns out the same technique I could actually use in the editing window too. It doesn't matter, right? So here I've already run out of space a long time ago. So if I click on this bar and I drag up and I drag down, do you see how it also does scrolling as well? It's the same.
Okay.
So this is just how Adobe does scrolling. It's kind of weird. But I like it in the big window because it's easy for me to demonstrate to you. Like, oh, look at this is what scrolling looks like.
Okay.
So what I like about this window for scrolling is that now, oh, I got lots of room, you know, and now I can go, I only need one more, base number 2. So I'm going to drag base number 2 over here. And if you have a conductor track, I would add that too, right? Like your conductor track might have music. I can add that as well. Now, remember, scrolling works for both the video. So the video you can see is on the top. So you can see I can scroll up and down on the video. But I can also scroll up and down on the audio as well. So you see like up and down. So on the audio, I could add a track if I want to in the audio side. So what kind of track do I want to add? Well, remember how we have the What a Friend We Have in Jesus? The audio track for the What a Friend? So that's the piano, right? So I just want to add the piano into my sound. Now this piano doesn't have a video that goes with it. It's just the audio, right? And so I'm just moving it with all of my other tracks. So you see like there's a green track right here. And then everything else is like blue. So green means it's just like it's audio only. There is no video that is attached to it. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Cool. And what you can see, I've done something. How can I explain this in an easy way? So with the videos, if I make this bigger, it will be easier for me to show you what I mean. So if I click in the timeline, so this is the blue, do you see this blue line?
Yes.
Do you see how Kevin is on the top there?
Yes.
Do you see like the picture of Kevin just at the very top? So why is Kevin at the top? Well, because Kevin is base number 2.
Yes.
Okay, so his video is on top of everybody's. So usually, what I do first is not, I don't adjust these videos yet. Like, I don't even care really that much about the videos. I usually turn all the videos off. And the reason I turn them off is because I only care about the audio to begin with. Does that kind of make sense?
Okay.
So you can turn videos on and off by clicking on the eye. You see there's an eye here. It looks like a toggle track output.
Yes.
So look at this. When I click on the eye for Kevin, he disappears.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so if I turn it on, then he appears. It doesn't make him, it doesn't delete anything. It just hides it. It's like kind of like show it or don't show it, you know, like you have the option. And I don't need to show anybody's video. So I want to turn off Kevin's video. I want to turn off all the videos. So if I click on everybody and I go off, 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 you can see how the eyes are all turning blue. Blue with a cross, like a line through it, means not visible. I can't see it. Invisible, right? Like not visible to your eyes. That's all it's saying. And I don't want to see any singers right now. And the reason is I just want it to do the audio. And I know that if I run this, like it's going to go really slow. And the only reason I do this is to make my computer faster. Another thing that I can do to make my computer faster is instead of, you see here, it says select playback resolution. So instead of full, I can make it 1/4. So what it means is instead of showing the full resolution, like if it's a super high definition video, it will not show the full high definition video. It'll just show like a rough version of it, which is all you need for editing. You don't need it to be like super fancy. So I set it to 1/4 because my computer is not the fastest. And you might find that maybe your computer isn't the fastest as well. So I'm just showing you some tricks that I use. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the next is, man, so audio is the same. So I can play, everybody's audio is playing right now. And you can imagine if I play right now, it's going to sound crazy, right? Everybody's going to be crazy, right? It sounds like everybody's singing like at different time. I don't want that. So how can I fix this issue? So instead of muting everybody, so M in this case is the same as the I, right? So instead, like basically if I hit M, it mutes that person and then I don't hear their audio. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So M is mute. M stands for mute that person. So like you imagine like what is muting a microphone? So let's say you're in a concert, right? And I mute your microphone. When you talk through it, it won't come through the speaker. Does that make sense?
Edward, I only have 15 more minutes.
Okay.
Like I have to. Yeah.
Maybe do you want to pause here or do you have any questions? Like what do you think would be most helpful?
I just want you to keep on and showing me. You know.
Okay. I'll keep on going and then I'll stop whenever you're ready and then we can pick up next time. I know that this is difficult. It's going to take a little bit of time. I'm here to answer any questions, so just like let me know. Stop me anytime because I want to make sure that you understand just the step.
You're explaining it very clearly. You can just keep on.
Good. Okay, so there's two different types of modes when it comes to sound. One is called mute everybody, so you can manually mute like all of the singers. Or there's something called solo. So S stands for solo. So if I push S and I solo just the piano, I won't hear anybody else's audio. I will only hear the piano. So let's try that. So do you hear just the piano?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just the piano right now. No singers, right? Awesome. That makes it easy. So how am I going to hear one singer? Well, that's pretty easy too. So what I'll do is maybe I'll start with Kevin. So Kevin is A12. He's audio 12. Okay, because he's also video 12 as well. You can see B2, like B2, that's Kevin. Do you see this one highlighted in white? That's Kevin.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So if I hit S for him, so I'm soloing two tracks. I'm soloing the piano, and I'm going to solo Kevin at the same time. Now do you hear the piano and Kevin at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
So you hear two people. You hear Kevin singing, and you hear the piano, but they're not aligned. So how do I align them? This is the magic. This is the fun part I like about the video. So do I align everything? No, that's way too much work. So what I do, and I want to, because this is super small for you, I want to make it bigger. So look at what I'm doing. So you see this circle here?
Mm-hmm.
If you make this circle, and if you move it up or down,
Mm-hmm.
it will actually zoom in the track so you can see more of the waveform, or it will shrink it so that you can see less of the waveform. So it's like zoom in horizontally. Does that make sense? Or zoom in vertically. It's like a vertical zoom. And then the plus and minus is like the horizontal zoom. So if I go plus, plus, plus on the keyboard, you can see it like zooms in horizontally. And then if I move this circle up and down, so if I move it down, you can see it gets bigger and bigger. And then if I move it up, it gets smaller and smaller, and it can make it super tiny. Does that kind of make sense?
Got it.
Okay, so I'm going to move it down because I want it nice and big, right? I like it big waveforms because it's easier for me to see. And you can see, like, I'm not looking at the right track right now. I need to scroll down. So you can see I'm taking that bar and I'm scrolling all the way down to the middle. Okay? Now, I am not interested in doing the whole track. I want to find one point within the middle of the track that is going to be super easy for me to connect with. And you can see I've kind of pre-done one little dot here. And so let me show you what that sounds like. Okay? So bum 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 bum. So bum 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 bum, and then let's go like super detailed. Let's go plus plus plus. And so you can see, what is this? Bum. So bum, you can see like at that exact moment, right when it's about to go bum, 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 bum. So it's that moment of bum, 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 like right before the bum, that moment, that's the one I want to sync up. So it would be like, we'll find a, like, we will find a solace there. Does that kind of make sense? That is a time that I've marked. And do you see this? There's a little line, there's a little arrow, like on the bottom here. Do you see that this arrow? Can you see my mouse? I forgot to ask. Belinda, can you see my mouse?
Yes.
So do you see like this little, like this arrow that pointing down?
Yes.
Okay, so that arrow that points down, all it is the that's the mark, like that's a mark that I have set. And so all I need to do in Kevin's audio is I need to find out, where is this M, where is this mark that where he sings the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo Kevin. So I'm going to put Kevin there as well. And I'm going to listen for him. Oh, let me give you some context, by the way. It might be confusing at that point, so let me play the stuff before. Dun 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 dun. So dun 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 dun. And the reason I chose that is because I need a place that the wave goes up. It has to be a note, like it has to be a mark, a consistent point that it goes from low sound to high sound. I need that. I need to use that as the anchor point. Does that, like, this is a little bit confusing. I want to ask, like, do you understand why I need a mark? I need to mark a position on the timeline.
I totally understand. It's just that technically, it's very difficult, to line up, with them. Okay.
It is.
This is the most difficult part, actually. You have to
exactly.
do exact timing.
This is why I want to spend a little bit more time on this, because this is the hardest part. If you get this, everything else will be easy for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so we'll spend a little bit more time on this part just because it's so important. And I feel like if we can just do one.
It takes time, to adjust it. You have
That's
to,
right.
And then, you can get it.
But once you
I
figure out how
totally
to do one of
understand
these,
what you mean, though.
you're going
It's
to get
the
faster.
technical part, that I need to practice. But right now, I think it's quite difficult, very difficult.
It, yeah, it's true. It is very difficult. I think
It's
that
this
you
part.
just recognize that this is, and like I said, this is something I've been practicing. This is
Mm.
a skill that I've been practicing for years to get really good at this. And when you understand this particular skill, you will actually find that there's a lot of things you can do. So this same skill is the skill that I use to create the click track, because I'm not interested in looking at like, oh, listening and then hitting no. If you can get good at looking at waveforms and identifying the exact spot, there's a lot that you can do. I can put a click track there. I can line up videos. Everything is going to be easy. But this is the skill. This is the number one skill that you need if you want to learn how to click. Like, it's not the
Can we,
software, not the tutorial. It's this skill.
can we stop here? Can we
Sure.
stop here? And then I need to ask you another question about recording. Um,
Okay. Okay.
so
Hold on. But is it okay if I stop sharing?
please.
So I'm going to save this file so that we can pick it up next time.
Okay.
I'm going to stop sharing,
Okay.
and I'm probably going to, okay, yeah. So go ahead.
Now for the recording, now that you're recording, right? And how do you put it in the, were you putting it in YouTube and then share it, or where do you
Mhm.
put for the recording thing?
Okay, that's a great question. So what I typically do is, are you talking about the combined virtual choir, or are you talking about like the recording of the perform the practices?
Um, I'm going to have a praise dance Zoom meeting. Okay,
Right.
I want to record it,
Okay,
and then
got it.
for some people who couldn't join this
Okay,
morning.
first question. Question number one is, are you the host? Are you
Yes,
the person who's running the meeting?
yes.
Okay, so when you're running the meeting, in the bottom of your screen on Zoom, here, let me see if I can make you the host.
There's a record button right here.
There's a record button, right? So I can say allow record. Does that make sense? And
Mhm.
then if I allow you to record, and if you're the host, you will already be able to record. There will be a button that says pause or start, or like start or stop recording. So you hit start recording.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's step number one. You need to make sure that on the top left of your screen, there's going
Mhm.
to be a button that says recording. Does that
Yes,
make sense? And so if
yes,
that recording button is
it's
on,
right.
if you see the red recording, it's working. Okay, so
Yes,
you can be confident it's going to record it.
yes.
Then when I end the meeting, so I just like I say, you and I we're finished the conversation. Cool. What's going to happen is that your recording is going to appear in a directory. It'll open up a folder for you. Okay. And
Okay.
so, and that folder will have a file, and that file will be an MP4 file, which is a video file. So let me share my screen. Is that okay?
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what I have is, it'll appear in a folder. It won't be CCOS Live. It'll be some directory, and it will have a bunch of numbers associated with it. And that folder will have a big file, and I mean like it'll be gigabytes. It'll be like our last video, our last practice was 7.46 gigabytes, and it'll be something dot MP4. That's the only video. That's the only file I care about. MP4 is like a movie format, like it's a video format. MP4 is a very common video format that YouTube accepts.
Yes.
So it will take us some time. What will happen is it will render, and it will eventually create this file with the MP4 file, and it'll open up a directory, and it'll say, here it is. So I usually like to rename it. So I give it a name called CCOS Live or whatever, like whatever you want the title of your video to be. And I do this because you got to organize stuff. Like, you don't organize stuff, you're going to be confused.
Mhm.
So I know that it's June 19th was our yesterday, or I should put June 18th, sorry, wrong day, but it doesn't matter. June 18th, CCOS Live. So now, then I need to go to a YouTube account. And if you don't have a YouTube account, you just create any Google account and you will have access to YouTube as well. So I go to youtube.com. That makes sense?
Mhm.
So YouTube is just the regular YouTube. but normally you have to log in. Do you see that? So there's like, once you're logged into your Google account, whatever Google account you create, then you will see your avatar. You see a picture, or you see your name or something in the top right corner. I put a picture of CCOS there, so I know that, yep, this is the CCOS one. Does that make sense? So you know which account you're logged into.
Oh, okay.
So you need to have a Google account.
Okay.
Step number 1. Okay. So make sure you create a Google account if you don't have a Google account. I think I sent a link to you before about how to create a Google account. So if you don't have one, make one. Okay. Or make one for your organization. You don't even need to have your own. You could say, you know what? I'm going to make one for the Praise Dance team. You could just create a new account called praisedanceteam@gmail.com. Doesn't matter, right? Mine is called, it's not even this main CCOS email. It's called calgaryoratorio@gmail.com. I made one just for CCOS. Does that make sense?
So you can open like a few accounts?
Yeah, you can make as many as you want. They're free, right?
I see. Okay.
Right, so I just made one for CCOS. So you can make one for your organization.
All right.
And then really just uploading the video. You see there's a camera with a plus button.
Yes.
And if you hover over it, it says create.
Yes.
So that's all I want to do. I just want to hit the button. I want to say create. And then there's 2 options, go live or upload the video. I'm not going to go live. I want to upload a video. So I just click upload the video. And now it'll open up a dialog where all I have to do now is just drag and drop my video into this upload dialog. That's it. And you'll see that once I drag and drop this video, it will give me the, okay, let me, it's running a little bit slow, which is typical when I do a Zoom call because like my computer is running really fast. So things take a lot longer. But the key that I want you to know is once you're in this spot where you can upload, it's just you drag and drop the video and then YouTube takes care of the rest. It'll automatically assign the title that you named that file, right? So you can see like in this dialog, it says drag and drop video files to upload them. Your videos will be private until you publish them. Awesome, right? That's what I want. I don't want them to be public, right? And so I will take a video. Let's say, like, I don't want to upload a huge file because this is going to blow up my computer. But let's say I upload this English version and I've got like, hey, some MP4 file, like What a Friend English Susanna version 2, right? And so I go, I touch it, I click, and I drag the thing over into the YouTube upload button. And when I drag it, you can see, hey, it's uploading now. And there's like a little rocket and it says, hey, I'm happy. And you can see like the name is already populated. It says the title is What a Friend English, CCOS version 2, Susanna. And it could be your praise band or whatever you want. And then you see, I already have a video link here. It says video link is YouTube / and then here's the letters and the numbers. So now what I can do is I can copy that video link. So there's a button on the right-hand side that says copy video link. And that just copies it to my clipboard. It's kind of the same thing as going Control C. You know how you like Control C to copy? There, like you can push a button to Control C this video link. And now if I want to send it to somebody, let's pretend I want to send it to Belinda, right? I want to go, okay, Belinda, I want to send you this video file. How do I do that? Well, then I just go to my WhatsApp, and I use WhatsApp web, web.whatsapp.com to access the WhatsApp on my computer. And then I can just go Control V, or there's different ways I can do it. I can like right click and I can say paste. That's another way to do it as well. But or Control V, doesn't matter. And then that's the YouTube file, and I click enter, and then boom, you have it. So Belinda now has the video, right?
Oh, you can download the WhatsApp in the computer.
Yeah, web.whatsapp.com is an easy way to connect. So you just go web.whatsapp.com. So
that's much easier. I usually just drop it to my email. click it like a copy and
Oh
paste.
my goodness. Belinda, let's make your life a lot easier.
Oh
So you
yeah,
see
this
these
is much
video, right? So all of these
way,
videos, if I
way.
hit play, right? Oh my goodness, I can't believe. Okay, so yes, let's make your life easier. Okay. So what I did is when I click on the web.whatsapp, all the videos you sent me, there's a button on the top right here. It says download. So that's all I do for every one of your videos. I go download. And then I go, okay, what's the next video that you sent me? This one. Okay. I click on the video. It'll start playing. I hit
It's
pause.
much easier.
And
So
then I hit
that's why I was
download. I
asking
don't
you.
have to email
Like,
every one of them to myself.
yes, yes. I
Right?
was asking you whether I need to send all these pictures to my email first and then send.
Oh my goodness. No, no, no,
Okay, got
no.
it.
Belinda, let's make our lives easier.
Yeah, much much better.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm just wondering,
Hmm.
uh, would it be too much trouble if you like work on my Mandarin Corel and do it once for me? Would it be too much trouble for you?
It isn't too much trouble, Belinda, but I want to run at least one more session with you to show you how I line things up so that you know how to do it. Like for me to do it for you is easy. It doesn't take me too long because I have a lot of experience with it.
Okay,
And for this week, like it's no problem for me to do it. But if it's okay with you, I think I'd like to book another session so that we go over the second part to at least so you know how to do it one time. And then I can do the rest for you very easily. But I
okay,
want to
I
make
have
sure
to go
you
now.
understand it.
Oh,
Okay?
okay, okay, and then I'll just WhatsApp you. Then we'll make another section.
No problem. And I think that we'll probably have to do a couple different sessions to cover this, but let's take our time. This is a skill. It's going to take time to learn. But
Okay,
once you learn this, you can create as many virtual choirs as you want because I want you, not just you, but other people to be able to create virtual choirs as well.
thank you. Thank you so much. I have to go now. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Talk to you
Bye.
later.
Thank
See
you
ya.
so much. Bye
Yep.
bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.